Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Blooming with Christ. I'm your host, Chastity, and I am excited to be back for another episode. And this topic, I'm really excited to speak on this topic, and I hope everyone had a great week. How was everybody week? Summer is almost over, and we've just been getting rain a lot lately, which honestly I've been enjoying. I've been enjoying getting the rain. Usually I'm not really a fan of rain. I like hot summer, not too hot, but I like the rain lately. It's been good. I can admit that. So I hope everyone's been staying dry, just really taking in the rain, taking in, summer because it's about to be over and we're gonna go to fall, the cold. But yeah, I hope everyone had a good week. Hope they're having a good summer. And honestly, this topic that I want to talk about today, um, it's a topic that I would say I'm not really. Mm, let's just say with this topic, I kind of had to learn myself too. Like I'm still learning, like everything I talk about, everything that I do, I'm still learning. But I was able to get a family member to help me out with this topic because, you know, I realized as I'm writing out about this topic, this is something that I do a lot. And it's not on purpose. I wouldn't say it's on purpose. I think it's just more of like out of habit. Yeah. Mhm. I feel like I just came up with another topic for another video. We're going to talk about habits. Not today though. But anyways, so yeah. Um so basically, let's get started because you're probably wondering like, girl, what are you talking about? Let's get started. So we're going to go to Genesis chapter 19. And I'm going to read I don't know if you heard the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. But I think this story here kind of helps me explain my topic a little bit. So I'm going to read it for you. So we're going to go to chapter 19 in Genesis, and I'm going to read verses 1 through 26. Okay. The two angels arrived at Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of the city. When he saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. My lords, he said, please turn aside to your servant's house. You can wash your feet and spend the night, and then go on your way early in the morning. No, they answered, we will spend the night in the square. But he insisted so strongly that they did go with him and entered his house. He prepared a meal for them, baking bread without yeast, and they ate. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot. Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them. Lot went outside to meet them and shut the door behind him and said, no, my friends, don't do this wicked thing. Look, I have two daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you like with them. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof. Get out of our way, they replied. This fellow came here as a foreigner, and now he wants to play the judge. We'll treat you worse than them. They kept bringing pressure on Lot and moved forward to break down the door. But the men inside reached out and pulled Lot back into the house and shut the door. Then they struck the men who were at the door of the house, young and old, with blindness so they could not find the door. The two men said to Lot, do you have anyone else here, sons-in-law, sons or daughters, or anyone else in the city who belongs to you? Get them out of here, because we are going to destroy this place. The outcry to the Lord against his people is so great that he has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who were pledged to marry his daughter. He said, hurry and get out of this place, because the Lord is about to destroy the city. But his sons-in-law thought he was joking. With the coming of dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, hurry, take your wife and your two daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when the city is punished. When he hesitated, the men grasped his hand and the hands of his wife and of his 2 daughters and led them safely out of the city, for the Lord was merciful to them. As soon as they had brought them out, one of them said, "Flee for your lives. Don't look back and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains or you will be swept away." But Lot said to them, "No, my lords, please. Your servant has found favor in your eyes, and you have shown great kindness to me in sparing my life. But I can't flee to the mountains. This disaster will overtake me and I will die. Look, here is a town near enough to run to, and it is small. Let me flee to it. It is very small, isn't it? Then my life will be spared." He said to him, "Very well, I will grant this request too. I will not overthrow the town you speak of, but flee there quickly, because I cannot do anything until you reach it." That is why the town was called Zor. Zoar. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. By the time Lot reached Zoar, the sun had risen over the land. Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. Thus he overthrew those cities and the entire plain, destroying all those living in the cities, and also the vegetation in the land. But Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. That story always, that story always like kind of have me like, I need to visualize it. Like I need to wait. But there is a video I think on YouTube. Like it's kind of like a visual of this story, and I thought it was pretty cool, like a visual of the story, because it's like what. But so the point of me reading that, sorry, keep getting distracted. The point of me reading that is basically it's really a warning to not look back but to look forward, because we have the tendency, when God saves us from something, when he frees us from something, we have the tendency to look back, you know? And I feel like this is important because even in the Bible, in the New Testament, in Luke 17:32, Jesus says, "Remember Lot's wife." And it's not, he's not saying remember Lot's wife or you're going to get turned into a pillar of salt. No, no. He's saying remembers Lot. What I feel he's saying is remember Lot's wife as if I'm freeing you from something. If I am taking you out of a situation or a season or, anything, don't look back. Don't go back to it. And we can have the tendency to do that because that's what we were comfortable with, right? We were comfortable with how we used to live because, following God is not easy. It's worth it. And it's the best decision you can ever make in your life to follow Jesus. But it's not easy. It's not. So sometimes we get in our mind that, man, this is hard. But I know when I was doing this or I was living this way, it was easy. It was no, no, it was easy, but there's a reason following Jesus is not easy, The enemy doesn't want you to, follow Jesus. The enemy doesn't want you to believe Jesus' truth. The enemy wants to keep you far away from Jesus. And so I just want to talk about this topic because, okay, if someone was telling me about this subject or like this topic, they were like just, let's say, preaching on this topic, or I see a video on this topic, my question is going to be, okay, what does looking back mean? Like, can you go a little more into detail? So I would say for me, constantly going back to your past when God already gave you freedom from it. So if God gave you freedom, if you're praying about something and God gives you freedom from it, and because you're doubting it or you're not sure or it's really hard and you go back to it, I feel like that's a form of looking back. And then holding on to your past life, to move forward, you really have to surrender to God. You really have to let go. So, if you're trying to move forward and you're still holding on to like parts of your old life, I feel like that's a form of looking back too. It doesn't really work that way. Um, and that's why Jesus said, remembers Lot's wife. because in Genesis 19, she looked back. She looked back. And because she looked back, because she was disobedient, they told him, do not look back. Keep going forward. Do not look back. But because she was disobedient and she looked back, she was turned into a pillar of salt. I'm not saying that you're going to get turned into a pillar of salt if you look back. Okay? I'm saying is for us, if we look back, then, I feel like that's a form of disobedience. Because if God is freeing you from something or he's moving you forward, and you look back, then you can potentially be holding yourself from something that God has for you, because we don't know everything. We can't see everything. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. All we have right now is today, where we are today. So if God is moving you forward and you look back, you can be stopping blessings or holding yourself back from what God already had prepared for you. So I feel like, in a way, to me, that's what it means when Jesus says, remember Lot's wife. And it's important to remember that because it is easy to look back. Because, you know, if that's what you're comfortable with, you're going to want to run back to that when things start to get uncomfortable. Right. And then I'm just saying, like, we always have to remember, like, if God has brought you from somewhere, there's nothing for you but to move forward. There's nothing left for you there but for you to move forward. And so I think that we have to keep that in our mind. Like, one thing, like what I would say is, like, okay, when you're struggling with like pride, unforgiveness, envy, lust, things like that, say to yourself, I will not look back. When things start to get hard, say to yourself, I will not look back. Sometimes you got to give yourself that pep talk. Like, you really got to talk yourself up. Okay, this is hard right now. This is really hard. I prayed to be out of this situation. I know when I was doing this, it was so easy. It came easy to me, but guess what? I would not look back. Keep telling yourself, when the enemy is whispering in your ear, all of that, just, he's just like the just chatterbox. Yeah, that's what I call him, chatterbox in your ear. Just keep saying to yourself, I will not look back. I will not look back. I will not look back. Keep repeating that. It don't matter how many times you say it. Keep repeating it, but not only repeat it, believe it. Pray to God for strength. Like, ask him to give you some strength. You know, that God wants us to pray to him. So utilize prayer. If you're struggling and you feel like you're going to look back, you feel like it's hard to move forward, or you don't see how you can move forward, go to prayer. Talk to God. Listen, sometimes I be in here talking to God and I be looking like a crazy person, but I mean, God wants us to communicate with him. So if someone thinks I'm some crazy lady talking to herself, that's okay. It's all right. But talk to God. Let him help you. Don't try to do it on your own. Don't try to move forward on your own. You can't move forward on your own. You need God to help you move forward. So that's why I think it's important. And then you got to remember too, like, going back only brings you pain from what you survived. What? Yeah. Yeah. So you got to remember that. Remember that. When you think you want to look back on something, remember, one, Jesus said, remember Lot's wife. Okay. Two, say to yourself, I won't go back. I won't go back. I won't go back. I won't go back. And then remember, when I was in that situation or I was in that position, that was pain. That was terrible. Why would I go back to something that God helped me survive, that God moved me forward, that God helped me get out of? Why would I go back? Because we're human and we're hard-headed and we don't listen, myself included. But God gives us grace. Do not abuse that grace, but God gives us grace. And that's why I stress I really do stress about going to God in prayer and talking to Him and communicating with Him because, think about it like this. If you, let's say you're trying, you like, there's something that you're struggling with, right? With somebody else. Okay. It's going to get resolved if you have communication, if you go to them about it, right? So you guys can work on something to resolve it. And I feel like that's with God too. It's just like going to Him, even though He knows already, He still wants you to come to Him about it. So going to God in prayer, God, I'm struggling with this, or I'm struggling with unforgiveness, I'm struggling with pride. You moved me forward in this situation, but my flesh wants to go back. And that's why you have to remember, I am willing, but my flesh is weak. I am willing, I am willing, I am willing, I am willing. Say that over and over. Tell God, God, I'm willing to move forward, but my flesh is struggling. Okay? Because our flesh is going to fail us every single time. Okay? So I just really thought that was like a good story to like talk about moving forward. As I was reading it too, it was also saying like Lot's wife, she had like, she still wanted, like, that city was going to get destroyed, and in her heart she still wanted her old life. That's why she looked back, like she was in disbelief that that was really going to happen. She wasn't ready to let that go. So just, I mean, I would encourage you to read the story yourself, um talk to God in prayer. And if there's anything else that I didn't mention, like, put it down in the comments too, because I'm always willing to learn, and I really think it's important. But I just want to say, sometimes trusting God is uncomfortable. I'll say it again for the people in the back. Sometimes trusting God is uncomfortable, but it's worth it. It's worth it. Because if you go back to something that you're comfortable with, I mean, think about it. You were comfortable, but did it glorify God? Did it move you forward in the right direction? Was it God's will or your will? You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be uncomfortable sometimes, but I just want to really encourage you guys to always move forward. And when you're struggling to move forward, to go to God in prayer. Again, find community. I'm telling you, community is going to hold you accountable. So you're always going to hear me say, go to community, find community, because they're going to hold you accountable. Always, number one, go to God. Always let God be your number one source that you go to. But also find community, and just go back to your word too. When you're struggling and you feel like you're gonna just revert back, or something that you're not ready to let go of, that God is trying to move you out of, like, go back to scripture. Scripture helps too, because really everything in this Bible really tells us how to live, but we can make it complicated sometimes. So I just think it's important that you just, remember that. And I'm just rambling right now. I am. But what I would say is, if there is anything that is holding you back from moving forward when God is trying to move you forward in your life, season, situation, anything, surrender. Surrender that. And honestly, I take that message, Genesis 19, Luke 17:32. I take that as a warning. I see that as a warning. And I want to give that warning to you guys as well, because although God does give us grace, we have to, we don't want to abuse that, because we know God gives us grace. And there's so many people in the Bible that really talks about like the disobedience. but Lot's wife was just one of them. And so I think it's important. I think it's important that we just remember that. So, I thank you guys for listening, and I thank you for continue to support me. And I hope this message really encouraged you guys. And I hope you continue to watch and share with a friend, like, comment, and subscribe. And I thank you guys, and I see you in the next episode.